When discussing her new college plan, Hillary Clinton took a little bit of a shot at Bernie Sanders. Now, during a town hall where she was answering some questions about her new college plan, which would essentially is described by her as being debt-free, she took a little bit of a shot at, as I said, Bernie Sanders' plan. Let's take a quick look at that.
I'm a little different than those who say free for everybody. I am not in favor of making college free for Donald Trump's kids. I'm in favor of making college free for your grandson by having no debt tuition.
All right, so that's a relatively quick look at her answer when it came to that. Now, obviously that's wrong, and I'm going to point out why. Now, she said, I'm not in favor of paying for Donald Trump's kids. Well, under Bernie Sanders' plan, you wouldn't. And let me break that down. See, the Sanders plan, yes, would give free college tuition for everybody going to a public university, right? And it would be funded by higher taxes on, guess who? Oh, right, rich people. Rich people like Donald Trump. Donald Trump and his kids would end up paying more in taxation. So technically, even though it wouldn't come out of their pocket, basically paid out in full in front, it would end up being taken out of their taxes later on. Kind of a big difference. So this system actually that Bernie Sanders advocates for, it actually makes more sense. It would actually reduce the cost of college. The government put a cap on it, saying, hey, we're only going to finance this much. So either you take it or you fucking leave it. Well, there you go. That's going to reduce your prices. Now, the Sanders plan covers public universities. As far as where Trump's kids are going to college, they're going to college at private universities. So they would get no funding. This is kind of a ridiculous attack. Now, Sanders has introduced legislation, yes, into the Senate recently that would make tuition free for four-year public colleges and universities through a combination of different state and federal funding. Now, the Clinton plan, however, is a little bit less progressive, and for that I go to R.J. Askow. He basically calls it an essentially means-tested system. Now, he points out a few points here that I'm going to go through. Now, the Clinton plan changes tuition to middle-class students using an as-yet unspecified formula based on income. As I said, it's a means-tested program. It is not a truly universal program, which makes it less progressive. Now, the Clinton plan would force students who receive financial aid to work about 10 hours a week in order to get aid. Now, most people who go to college aren't really going to find a huge problem with that, as they usually already work. So, it's not going to affect too many people, but nonetheless, you're sticking a work requirement into college. Now, some people will take more than the recommended classes. They'll load up to get done as soon as possible and might not have a time for a job. And besides, what job will only give you 10 hours a week? Seriously. Not a lot. And if you wanted to double up and get on your classes and get done as soon as possible, well, that's not going to be feasible with this plan. Not exactly, as I said, the most progressive thing, but it's also not the biggest issue in this. Now, R.J. Askow further explains that the Clinton plan actually is not a no-debt program. Now, he explains, while it has been described as a plan for eliminating student debt, the Clinton plan is highly unlikely to accomplish that goal. Middle-class families are struggling to make ends meet, a situation that already forced many to take on debt in the first place. Any plan which adds to their costs by charging for college tuition will inevitably force some cash-strapped families to take on more additional debt. If you're already being squeezed, and then you have to take out a loan to get into college or to pay for your kids' college, well, obviously that's going to add to your debt. That is by definition not a no-debt plan. The whole assumption is that people who are going to school are people fresh out of high school, 19, 20 years old. Well, that's not the reality. There are many people who are older that go back into college to get better skills, new training, to get better jobs in an ever-evolving, changing job market. So this misses the mark. And so you can't really call it a no-debt plan for students. And as I said before, this is a thinly veiled attack on Bernie Sanders and his college plan. And actually, this plan, this attack by Hillary Clinton is kind of poorly thought out. I'm actually disappointed. I expected better from the Clinton campaign when it comes to, attacking policies. I mean, what she's trying to do is essentially say, look at how Bernie Sanders wants to give welfare to the rich. No, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that assumption at all. And the facts don't bear that out. As I said, it's a poorly orchestrated attack from the Clinton campaign, and I'm disappointed. I expected better.